Hello, I'm Joe Staley, President of the Four Winds Energy Corporation. Four Winds Energy Corporation is located in Fort Collins, Colorado at 2050 Airway Avenue, zip code 80524. Four Winds Energy Corporation has produced a high-energy wind turbine, the first one in the history of the wind industry to function at essentially all wind speeds up to and above 100 miles an hour.
And I'm Dylan Elder, Chairman and Vice President of Four Wind Energy. I would like to bring you up to date on a little history of our company. For 3.5 years, I was up on the mountain here in Colorado and up on Buckhorn, and we took high winds of 136 miles an hour. That's a gust of wind, and we took winds of 92 to 98 miles an hour for around 11.5 hours. During this time, no destruction, no problems with our machine. But prior to that, for 3.5 years, we was working on the machine, and we had difficulty. Until I contacted Joe Staley, we was continuously having problems on our wind energy machine. After we contacted Joe and he come in with us and worked with us exclusively, did our machine work and function properly. I was totally elated to know that we had a wind energy machine that would take 135 mile an hour gust of wind, because no one in the history of the world has ever done this. And by doing this, we proved that it can be done with a little ingenuity and a little foresight. And now I want to say that Four Winds Energy is proceeding on with what we're doing, and they're going to even function a better machine than we have as of now. In the matter of 2 to 3 years, we plan to have maybe a machine that is maybe 1.5 times better than what we have now. This is what we're looking forward to. And believing that we can do it, knowing we can do it, with the ability that we have and the personnel that we have, we know that this is going to come to pass. And all the other I have to say is this, that in the time barrier that Joe and I have worked together, it has gone just as smooth as glass. And with us if we keep working on this type of ability, I believe we can maintain a better machine than we have even now.
Yes, sir, I agree.
Hi again. I'd like to give you a brief tour of our 6x8 machine, wind machine. Right here is we have the inside there are the rotor blades. They stand about 6 foot tall, 22 inches wide. And this machine will start up at a very small wind. Here I'm going to start a fan blowing at around 5 miles an hour, and you'll see how the rotor blades are starting to turn with just that much wind. We are more conscious of the high wind than we are the low wind, although we want it to work in both factions. You'll notice our stator blades guide and directs the wind into the blade, then it rotates, and from down on our shaft is a pulley, and it generates the electricity. It functions at any rate of speed. We never have to shut it off. We never have to shut it down. It'll take winds up to as high as 150 miles an hour. Here's showing you what the fan is doing, how it's blowing against the stators, how it's generating the wind, pushing in to the rotor blades. And that's about 15 revolutions every 18.5 seconds. Here, as you see the design of our rotor blades and how it functions is the curvature in our rotor blades. The wind will hit one of our stators and it will push into the other stator, which directs the wind into the blade. This is why it will take high winds, because the wind will not hit any of our rotor blades directly. It is a machine that has been proven 3.5 years up at Buckhorn in the mountains of Colorado, and it went through every test, conceivable test, that you could think of to withstand high wind. And in doing so, we feel that this is a machine of the century, possibly the only one that we know of in the world that would take high winds. I'm glad that you like our little short tour, and now we'll direct you to other areas for 4Wind Energy. Thank you. Hi again. I would like to give you a short tour of our 6x8 wind energy machine for 4Winds Energy. This machine, as you see here, are our stators. It directs the wind into the rotor blade, and in doing so, you never have a direct hit at the rotor blade that the wind's at high velocity. These stators protect the rotor blade from destruction. This was the secret to our patent, is our rotor blades and our rotor blades in our stators. You notice I turned on the fan, which is a rate of about 5 miles an hour of air. The rotor blade will turn at about approximately 20 at 34 seconds. 20 revolutions at 34 seconds. You'll notice how I place the fan more directly towards the stator than towards the blade. This way it gives it more of a thrust. The wind hitting it gives it a better thrust and a push that this is just a 5 mile an hour wind that you're looking at now. When you're talking about 45 or 50 miles an hour, that is just a blob in there. Your rotor blade is just one constant revolution. And this is our smallest machine that we make. It's 6x8 and 6 foot high, 8 foot in diameter. And the secret of this machine is the rotor blades and the stators. And that's what we worked our patent on, is if you'll notice the curvature in our stators, which gives the wind a more direct thrust towards the middle of the turbine. And this in turn gives us 2 to 3 more revolutions on the minute. Again, this machine will do about 5 kilowatts at 45 miles an hour. This small machine can generate that many kilowatts. And the reason is, like I said before, the curvature in the stators. That gives the wind an extra thrust, and by it being curved and coming in on this direction, it goes in and hits on this side, and the curvature takes it into the rotor blades. And we've noticed that the accuracy is great, because the distance between the rotor blades and the stators is no more than 1/4 of an inch at any time. And this helps generate more power. The efficiency of a small machine like this could cover a household of possibly 4 or 5 living in the home with using all the utilities that they use, and this would be totally enough to function for any family at 4 or 5, no more than that. In real high wind areas, it goes as high as 63 kilowatts per hour. But that's rare even in Colorado history.
Last spring, we knew we had a good idea and a good machine, but we wanted to refine our machine, principally in the interest of greater efficiency. Since we didn't have access to a wind tunnel, we had to devise some method of testing models.
That's cut.
As of last spring, we knew we had an idea that worked because it had already been tested in high winds, but we needed to refine our design in the interest of greater efficiency. Since we didn't have access to a wind tunnel to test in, we needed to devise a simpler, cheaper method of testing. We constructed several models and we tested them in flowing water.
By the water test, which was much more efficient than the wind test, for 3.5 years that I was up on the mountain testing our wind energy machine, I found that in the water test that we got more data in just a few minutes than I did in months sitting up on the top of the mountain. Believe me, I found out the water test, and I told Joe that there was no doubt in my mind that the water test was more essential than anything else we had ever done. In late June, we had a conference here with some of our stockholders and our marketing agent, Benita. And in that time, Joe Staley gave a physics lecture on the operation and procedures of our wind energy machine, which was and still is, in my mind, as clear a picture as you could have after a lecture of possibly 45 minutes. I learned more in that 45 minutes than I had in a lot of geometry classes, believe me.
Thanks, Bill.